Everyone, starting from Meta and Google, trying to develop goggles, helmets, glasses. Well, we decided to concentrate on a very tiny but yet very important interface, which is a contact lens. 250 million people use normal contact lenses daily. Huge market. In case we provide 1% of them with our gadget, this will be a great success for the company for, third, fourth year of selling the gadget.
I'm Felicia Shakiba, and this is CPO Playbook, where we solve a business challenge in every episode. Few leaders take on challenges as bold as reinventing human capabilities. Roman Axelrod, founder of Xpanceo, is one of them. His company is developing smart contact lenses that enhance vision, provide access to real-time data, and push the boundaries of what humans can do. And raising nearly $300 million to bring deep tech to life. We'll explore what it really takes to build technology the world has never seen before, the leadership lessons from that journey, and the human resilience behind it all. Roman, welcome to the show.
Wow, what an introduction. Well, thanks for having me.
I hope I said everything right. Did I pronounce everything right?
I could have never imagined that someday I will be introduced like that.
Well, believe it, because that is your intro.
Is that me who did all those great things? Wow.
Yeah. You have a fascinating story, to say the least. And we've spoken once before, and you are just an incredibly kind human from the little amount I have spent with you. But I would love to maybe just start with the beginning, which is, what you've described Expansio's mission as reinventing human beings. Where did that vision for smart contact lenses come from? And what made you believe it could actually be real?
You see, a few years ago, that was 5 years ago precisely. And I was in the middle of selling my previous company. I was 30 years old. And at some point I found out that I have a full day ahead of me and nothing to do. And for the first time in like 10 plus years, I had time to think, Roman, hey, you're 30. It's time to finally decide who you want to be when you grow up. So what do you really want to do with your life? Do you want to create next 2 to 5 years company, pump it and sell it, or do you want to create something meaningful? And I was always amazed by computers since, you see, my grandfather was one of the pioneering engineers building those huge bulky computers back in the 50s and 60s. And he used to take me to work as I was like 5 years old. You see, I grew up surrounded by those, hobbit-like engineers and huge machines that used to be computers back in those days. Their power was like less than today's cell phone, but still those were, that was amazing. And that influenced me. And I really did want to be a part of the next generation of computing. These things, this is probably the computer of humanity right now.
The phone, yeah.
The iPhone, Android, you name it, portable computing device with a screen. At some instances, it might be iPad or whatever. We live in glass rectangles right now, and this generation of computing is long overdue. They're bulky, they're heavy, they're not interchangeable. We as a species, we cannot proceed with the task we as a species have set ourselves for at least 100 years with these computers. Two biggest tasks humanity has set itself is, to live 150 years and to conquer Mars, to become interplanetary species. None of those can be achieved with current generation of computing. And by now, which is early September 2025. As a tech community, as an overall technology community worldwide, we came to a conclusion. Big techs, both big techs and startups, we all think that the next generation of computing is AI. I would say that it is AI-powered XR computing. Think of it as of a Tony Stark computer, Jarvis. Blink, it appears around you. You operate it by eyes, by voice, by gesture, probably later by mind, but this comes later. And obviously, you need an interface. A computer, we know it, be it Anthropic or OpenAI or whatever. We'll see about that and, well, pretty soon, actually. But in any case, you need an interface to actually see what computer tries to deliver to you. And everyone, starting from Meta and Google, trying to develop goggles, helmets, glasses. Well, we decided to concentrate on a very tiny but yet very important interface, which is a contact lens. 250 plus 250 million people use normal contact lenses daily. Huge market. In case we provide 1% of them with our gadget, this will be a great success for the company for, third, fourth year of selling the gadget. And obviously, you need an interface. A computer, we know it, be it Anthropic or OpenAI or whatever. We'll see about that and, well, pretty soon, actually. But in any case, you need an interface to actually see what computer tries to deliver to you. And everyone, starting from Meta and Google, trying to develop goggles, helmets, glasses. Well, we decided to concentrate on a very tiny but yet very important interface, which is a contact lens. 250 plus 250 million people use normal contact lenses daily. Huge market. In case we provide 1% of them with our gadget, this will be a great success for the company for, third, fourth year of selling the gadget. Then I was like, wow, that is actually a good idea. What this gadget should do. And it has to provide picture to use all your software and data you're used to use daily, then to measure biological parameters and to provide you with insights as to your current health and well-being. And of course, we call it provide superpowers, like the ability to see at night or to zoom objects. This is all under development. I'm not talking about, a PDF or a pitch. We have already developed 15 prototypes and filed for many patents. So in case you're in Dubai, please do visit the lab and see the prototypes for yourself.
So it's in development that we would, at some point one day, have contact lenses to see at night even. This is like one of the things that it will do.
Yes, definitely, most definitely. And this is an interface that fits greatly in certain situations. For example, when you need both hands free, when you cannot wear anything on your head, for example, you cannot wear goggles or glasses when you wear a helmet, when you drive a motorbike, or when you do professional sports, or when you are a Formula One pilot, or a spaceman working outside this space station. Well, many use cases, lots of them actually, loads of them. Imagine the ability alone, without interface, without UX, without anything, just the ability for those who suffer diabetes, just the ability to instantly measure glucose, to instantly measure blood sugar level, without this humiliating procedure of pinning your hands. This can change a whole industry of diabetes treatment.
Okay, there's so much that this gadget, as you say, can accomplish, and it sounds like a dream. So deep tech, it often feels really impossible until it isn't, right? Until there's something that's tangible. When you first shared the idea, how did people react? I'm talking family, colleagues, investors.
Well, my family thought that I'm a very talented, bright, and accomplished entrepreneur and manager who's about to ruin his career in life.
I can't imagine how that conversation went.
That was like, well, you started great. Please do not do this. This is something that is going to ruin your professional path and your career. Professional investors, they were like, Raman, you were a grown-up boy. You shouldn't chase dreams. Just build a next company. But I was absolutely confident. I was positive and absolutely laser focused on the idea that I do not want to build a next copycat for a next market. All the, traditional startups like Uber for for region, or PayPal for this region, is merely a new way to put money from one pocket to another. I understood that I cannot motivate myself with building those anymore.
Yeah, and
And
it's not that those
motivation is
startups.
the key.
Yeah, and it's not that those startups are bad. It's just that is not what you wanted for yourself.
No, God, Felicia, no. In case you want to make billions of dollars, literally billions, you should make traditional startup and not to pursue deep tech. Deep tech is probably the worst way to make big amount of money as a professional, as a person, as human, because it can literally take years to come up with a product.
Yeah, long-term incentive, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're obviously not motivated by money, although you've gotten an incredible amount of investment. But that incredible amount of
Well,
investment is really to, be able to have the patience and the persistence and this not giving up attitude, the grit in order to see it through. I mean, that is the bet that investors have made on you and the company, I imagine.
sure, absolutely. And well, you see, we have a joke. Deep tech is not only deep but also notoriously expensive. We have spent $8 million US on equipment for the lab alone. Save for the lab itself, the building. At some point, we literally had to build new floors in the building because floors a building used to have were not, well, very sensitive equipment could not be installed on those floors. So we had to completely change all the flooring into for 2,000 square meters. So it is hard. And well, comparing to software or, well, more traditional B2B, B2C startups, when you can see results within weeks, months, well, probably half a year. Here, well, new prototype takes at least half a year. At least half a year, probably a year.
Yeah.
Once you have developed the prototype, you at the very end of developing of a prototype, when you have already spent a year, incredible amount of time and calories and money developing it, you can find out that it works. It works perfectly, but it's not suitable for human eye, for
Okay.
instance.
We'll be right back.
What happens when employees behave badly? Boy, we could do an entire TV show, maybe a Netflix special on that. Well, Ryan and I sat down and recorded episodes for FAMA, and we asked practitioners, give us your most outrageous story. The sales leader that brings cocaine to work, whatever. Just bring us the outrageous, and it is funny. So if you need a laugh, which we all do from time to time, search for workplace misconduct wherever you get your podcast, and you'll find it. And trust me, you will laugh and cry, but you'll definitely laugh. All right. Thank you.
Back to the show. So you bootstrapped for almost 2 years before raising this serious capital. How did you sustain belief and the momentum in those early uncertain days?
Well, but both myself and my co-founder, we happened to be mature enough by that moment to really know what do we want to do with our lives. And motivation was very clear. I keep saying that in order to create a deep tech company, you need very bright vision of the future. I mean, crystal clear vision of the future and how your product will fit into the future and will provide the biggest amount of value possible in this future. And well, as Steve Jobs said, how it will put a dent in the universe and will alter it. Then you need to have a very good plan, very detailed plan. Our technology roadmap, our own R&D roadmap, divided into 2 weeks bricks. And at the end of each brick, we know how to measure result, how to define success, and how to pivot this brick in case it was not successful. Then you need best people out there, of course. When younger entrepreneurs and teams pitch me, they, this way of pitching when someone who's being pitched asks, so what separates you? What is your unfair advantage? And they answer, well, I am a product manager at Google. So what?
That's what they respond with?
Sometimes. There are, literally thousands of product managers at Google. You need the only person in the world capable of doing it. This is the ideal scenario for a deep tech company. And then, of course, you need incredible amount of willpower and persistence to push your team through this roadmap. And we've been doing so for almost 2 years. It took almost 2 years to develop first prototype, to write first patent, well, few patents actually. But no one wants to invest in deep tech until you have a prototype and a patent. Working prototype means that you can deliver. Well, at least you know what to do in order to try to deliver, which is a lot in the tech world. And patent means that you cannot be overrun, killed, or, well, you can only be bought.
Yeah. Okay, so unlike software, where iteration is very fast, you've said a single prototype can take years. So what does that do to the leadership mindset, and how do you keep teams motivated through long, high-stakes cycle?
Well, first of all, I would divide it into monetary and non-monetary motivation. We keep joking that we do not need headhunters. We do not need to search for engineers. There are probably a few thousands of physicists and engineers on the planet possessing the level of skill suitable for our company. We know them all. We're not searching, we're persuading. And of course, in order to acquire they say best talent, I mean really the best talent, you obviously need much more than money, but money you need as well. So when they ask, why do we need so much investment? Well, to pay good salaries, to pay those people we need. They have this amount of offers from Apple, Google, Meta, you name it. They do not even consider of, being underpaid. You need to pay good salaries. You need to provide stock option. You need to provide them with all kinds of, perks in lab space. You need to provide best equipment, by the way. The question of equipment itself is great. For a true believer, for a true physicist, this is a toy. This is a toy. He dreamed of touching, and we say, well, mate, we have this in our lab. You're absolutely free to play with this equipment all day long, as much time as you wish. And
as animated like hearts and stars were like shooting from his aroma. Yeah.
But then when you reach the maximum capability of monetary incentives and physical perks, the idea comes to mind. And the founding team and key scientists and engineers, we were absolutely and incredibly lucky to gather a gang of true believers into the concept of the company, and true believers of ideas of transhumanism itself, because what we're talking about is basically merging humans with technology. Historically, every generation of computing have been smaller, closer to human body, easier to operate, and well, inevitably now we call it officially approved future. We've seen this in movies and books for decades, for centuries, and by now, it's absolutely mostly inevitable that at some point humans will merge with technology. We have already merged with it, with technology, by the way. This is a hard drive, an external hard drive. At some point, technology will become an inseparable part of human body. And this is basically what we do. And the contact lens was just the first chapter of a tale called Xpanceo. And this is the first gadget we're going to develop. I really do hope that we're going to be successful with this gadget. Next will come, well, second generation of contact lenses. Then of course, we'll proceed with all different kinds of next generation of computing gadgets, including neural interfaces and et cetera, et cetera. Actually, we already developed them. And I envision this company, Xpansio, in 50 years, I envision it as, Apple or I don't know, Samsung or of the AI computing era. So that's the idea.
And you've emphasized that prototype is king. That's having something tangible. So when was the moment when having that working prototype, when was the moment it changed the trajectory with investors or partners?
When we saw that it actually works.
Did you have it? I just wonder, how did you test it? Did you put it on yourself, and did you put it on investors?
No, we have developed a special system which simulates human eye, because, well, legally we cannot test our prototypes on human beings until we have received FDA approval and all kinds of medical approvals suitable, required in different countries and different markets, within the different markets. Usually when people when they ask me, do you really do not test those prototypes yourself? I keep answering that my head of legal advises me not to answer to this question.
Okay, I want to ask that question.
So in order to answer this question correctly and within the frame of legal boundaries, we have developed a special system that simulates human eye. And once we put a prototype onto this artificial eye, it transmits data to our computers, which helps us understand how would an actual eye feel and how would an actual eye behave, and how a human would feel in case we would have used it on a human being. This is not uncommon. This is what they do in medtech startups all the time.
And recruiting for deep tech is different too. You needed a handful of the world's best optical engineers. How do you convince this rare talent to join a mission this ambitious? And this is not just an issue in deep tech. I mean, this is an issue all across Silicon Valley for sure. The big tech companies are fighting their way for talent. It is a competitive strategy, competitive edge. How do you convince these very specifically talented engineers to join you?
Well,
you've talked about it a bit, right? This internal
best
motivation.
Of the best, taking monetary motivation and perks and incentives and stocks options aside, the best of the best, they are usually motivated by the biggest challenge out there. This probably is, well, Sam Altman keeps comparing building OpenAI as building of the next internet. or whatever. This project is probably, well, to say at least, one of the hardest, from the technological standpoint of view, one of the hardest projects in gadget building industry today. I mean, I'm not joking. It is very hard to miniaturize electronics so much that it can be used on a human retina. And best people, they are being motivated by challenge and by the best people around them.
Yeah.
So basically, once I convinced my co-founder to join me as a co-founder, this became a snowball effect. Valentin, my co-founder, he appears to be one of the world's most well-known physicists in optics. And of course, once professional community saw that one of the best guys out there decided to build a startup, and not only decided to build a startup, but decided to build a startup that is going to build a smart contact lens, and raised certain amount of money. Of course, it became almost, it became, well, a challenge itself to join this company because something truly groundbreaking happens and I'm not a part of it. I have to be part of it.
Yeah. Like, why did I let this get,
So,
this chance, this opportunity to go away?
So I know this sounds strange, but at some point we did witness a FOMO effect within the engineering community. And since our company is very small comparing to other startups, we are probably 100 people, less than 100. R&D department is 75 or 77 people. And we do not need more. We have all kinds of expertise we need to build a gadget. Of course, on next stage, when we become a gadget producing company,
Right.
of course, we will inevitably grow and grow exponentially.
That's manufacturing, though. That's your manufacturing
Yes,
part of the business.
absolutely. But that's completely other story. Although it will, it is ought to happen within the next 5 years. But by now, today, in order to develop a working prototype, they call it pre-production prototype, and obtain the human approval, to conduct human trials and obtain medical approvals. We do not need a huge team. We need a relatively small team, but best minds in physics and engineering.
Yeah. You've also highlighted your co-founder Valentin's role. What makes a great co-founder partnership? Like, how do you divide
Oh my God,
vision, science, and execution?
it is very hard. And at some point, well, of course, good partnership is sometimes closer than marriage. Both co-founders, or in case there are 3, 4, 5 co-founders, they need to talk. They need to learn how to talk to each other, how to talk openly, how to share ideas, how to share fears, how to actually tell what's on your mind, how to divide properly, how to divide at the same time, divide science, engineering, execution, fundraising, marketing, etc., and at the same time possess the amount of maturity in order, to let go and to let those very different fields converge and to provide result. Because you cannot provide with science alone. In case you want to, you want to do science, well, you should go to university and do science. In case you want to do business, well, you should build next copycat of the next company. In case you want to, our mission is to develop technology, to convert technology into product, to build a company around this product, and to make sure that humanity actually needs this product.
Yeah. Step one.
Step
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
So this comes from, this convergence, this marriage of science, finance, product, vision, science, engineering, money, execution. And at some point, it becomes clear that you cannot do it alone. A scientist cannot do it alone. A businessman, a manager cannot do it alone. A finance guy, no one can do it alone. And well, you need to learn how to talk and how to, understand each other. So it takes hell a lot of effort.
We'll be right back. Back to the show. It's a really simple answer, but very complex to execute. The communication. I think that people are very set in their ways, the way they've been raised, the way that they know business, the way that their manager before them managed them, the relationships that they've built, and all of those experiences roll up into how an individual might communicate. And it's very hard, especially when you're in an environment where there's high stakes, high pressure. You don't want to let your family down. You don't want to bring on these employees that if you fail, they lose their jobs. There's so much. And then I haven't even mentioned the investors themselves who are breathing down your neck as a founder. I mean, I'm not saying they do. I'm just saying that this is typical environment. And, how do you communicate in a way with your co-founder or your employees or your management team that doesn't force you to fly off the handle when someone doesn't get it perfectly, that requires a really deep sense of emotional maturity to be in your situation.
Absolutely. Just imagine two accomplished leaders. One of them grew up in science and in scientific environment and was never part of business before starting this company. And the other guy, myself, I grew up building companies and I was never part of scientific institution. And there you multiply it by 50 because my partner brings 50 scientists and I bring a dozen of product managers and marketing specialists, and they need to find a proper way to communicate. And actually, we keep joking that once we have time, probably someday at some point, we're going to write a book about the way how to build deep tech company, because you obviously cannot use you need to use typical development tools suitable for startups like Canvas, Scrum, etc., etc., etc. You ought to use them because in the end of the day, you need to build a product. But you are being thrown into a community of scientists and physicists who have never worked using those frames and tools before. And to be frank, many of those tools are not suitable for their line of work. And we ended up developing our own tools based on a typical tools of software development.
So you're reinventing the process too. While you're creating the product.
We did not have any other option but to reinvent it, yes.
I laugh because there's just no end to the imagination. Okay, so one thing I want to mention, because I think it's really important, because there's a lot of discussion around what are the skills that you need in the future. You have AI. AI can pretty much do all your math work, write your essays, et cetera, right? And who knows what it's going to do tomorrow and the next day and the next day. But the creativity, the critical thinking, the imagination, the ability to think of original, works. I can see, obviously, I think you're a perfect example of what we need more of, what skills we need more of in the future. But how do you, I understand it's innate, but how do you get there? How do you cultivate a culture of reimagination and creativity and invention without relying on, ChatGPT or Grok or whatever the case is?
My answer will be so obvious, it will sound as, almost a joke. You have to follow your dream. In case I did have a dream of building a next generation of computing, it sounds, well, hell of a strange thing. What, mate, you're a tech entrepreneur. Build next Uber. We talked about it. Basically, human being is always under constant pressure of society, of beliefs, of the world. And everyone keeps telling you how you should live your life and what should you do with your life. I would say that when you're about to take a decision, gather as much information as possible. Listen to everyone. When you take decision, use only your brain, nothing else. You have to be a person, well, to really think outside of the box, to become truly creative, to come up with the ideas unseen before. You really need to think deeply. Just, to answer absolutely transparently, what do I want to do with my life? What really keeps me, what will make me happy? In case Expansio will not become a huge thing like Apple or Google, but will create a component this size, one of thousands components, which will be used in the next generation of computing, I will be absolutely happy. I will consider myself as an absolutely accomplished person. I did provide value for my for my species, for my planet, for my community, for my family, and for myself. I see you in the end of the day, you only have, like at best, 100 years at best on this planet. And well, you should really consider doing what do you really want to do. I do not want to build next startup. I want to build next generation of computing. I do not want to do anything else with my life, at least now, at least now. Then you, as a person, as a human being, you need to acquire a true peace of mind after you answered this question. Many of us know the answer to this question. A guy works as, an investment, as a very accomplished investment banker. He has a beautiful wife, sports car, 3 mortgages, etc., etc. But deep down in his heart, he wants to write a book or whatever,
Yeah.
something. You need to answer to this question. What do I really want to do with my life? And acquire true peace of mind relating to this answer. To take the sensor to accommodate it. And then the answer then you will inevitably see what to do next. Once you acquire this, answer and peace of mind, you will inevitably see what would be, just ask yourself, what would be the first step? My first step was to write a canvas model because I'm used to thinking in terms of models and development tools. When I understood that I want to build next generation of computing, and this is a smart contact lens to begin with, I sat down and wrote a very brief canvas model on my iPad using my Apple Pencil. That's basically it. It's very simple. It does not take huge effort or something. But while thinking about this answer and acquiring this peace of mind, you need to be, it's almost like Zen Buddhism. You need to be absolutely transparent. Absolutely transparent. You have to, agree with the mere point that anything is possible. There's a guy out there who used to build driverless cars and rockets 20 years ago. So I'm absolutely positive that Mr. Musk heard literally millions of no's and was joked and mocked all the way through his first 10 years of Tesla and SpaceX. Look at them now. Just do not listen to anyone. Be absolutely transparent. Acquire peace of mind and decide what you want to do. That's it. And you shouldn't really, think about, oh my God, ChatGPT is going to replace me in 3 years, in 5 years. Well, no one. In case someone says, in case someone tells you he knows what how technology will evolve, well, they're lying. We all thought that will kill, well, I don't know, truckers or plumbers. It turned out it started with the programmers and illustrators. No one knows what will happen. So just be absolutely transparent and decide what you want to do.
Yeah. Roman, your journey is one of exhilaration. And I am so excited. I'm a big fan of you just as a person. I'm sure you have an incredible team behind you doing this incredible work. And, hats off to them and hats off to you and your co-founder. And I wish the utmost best for Xpanceo. And please, I can't wait to see what happens in a year from now and 2 years from now. I will be watching and rooting you on from the sidelines.
It's actually pretty funny that, well, being the dumbest person in the company, they're all like physicists, physicists and engineers with 150 IQs, and I'm merely a guy who has a dream and a vision. Well, and this willpower to execute. But thank you. This is, this truly means a lot hearing those kind words.
Well, good luck out there. And I'm really excited to see the rest of your journey unfold. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Visit us at cpoplaybook.com. Your support as a subscriber means the world to us. So thank you for tuning in. I'm Felicia Shakiba. Let's connect on LinkedIn.